No changes to the training regimen because that would make us very vulnerable, if you ask me. So we've had our evaluations like normal. One extra evaluation because we always take the time after 6 games in the MLS to look back and see what the patterns have been and positive and the negatives from this amount of games. But obviously, when we came back, we had a red-eye flag. So it's always tough being in the plane and coming in the next morning on Sunday to train again, considering what happened in that game. But like I told one of your colleagues just now, it's with me, it's always a 24-hour approach. Good or less good, 24 hours to mourn or to enjoy success, and then we move on and focus on ourselves again. That's what we did. And from today on, Minnesota got a bigger piece of the pie.
Coach, from a tactical perspective, on the fourth goal, how would you want that handled as far as communication between the defense and the goalie?
Any communication, and then without conceding a goal, if you will. No, it's quite obvious. We play with a high line. They try to attack us behind our line. We recognize the moment, so we step off at the right moment. We control that situation. Obviously, the bounce on turf is different than on natural grass, but from what I've seen, and I've seen it a couple of times, we were in control of that situation, and we allowed the striker to have a bigger piece than necessary. Ultimately, end of the day, foot underneath the ball, boot it out of the stadium, and get out of the clear.
Against Minnesota this week, you're facing a team that is probably the most direct team in all of MLS.
Yeah.
The fact that they allow you to have possession, which also means that your defense has to play high for the most part, I would suppose. How do you handle a team like that, especially when you see that they've had so much success on counterattacking with the way that they play?
Yeah, it's a huge part of their strategy. And they've been very successful going into the MLS this season as well. Both strikers have 4 goals. It's a huge part of their approach. But like always, Roberto, in our games, we want to control the games. We want to control the ball. We have to find a good balance in when we're going to play a little bit more direct ourselves, because we've seen a few opportunities in that area as well. But basically controlling the counter while you're in possession and while you're in attack is the biggest challenge that is there for us.
Thank you.
Sean, Soccer Island Magazine, thank you for your time today, Coach. Other than it was just mentioned the directness of the team, what other unique aspects do you feel Minnesota brings to bear that would vary from your previous games and other games?
I mentioned the 2 strikers just now. It's very interesting to see they came into the team and they fit quite well, scoring goals. So they're very productive. We've had the pleasure to play against them in pre-season, so we felt it during that game what they're capable of. And of course, every team develops itself, and they're further than they were in that pre-season game. But it's very interesting to see that their strategy is very successful until now, going into game number 7. So for us, there's a huge challenge to make sure, like I answered your colleague's question just now, to make sure that we control that counter and take away that part of the game where they've been very successful so far.
On to the Zoom, we'll go with Alex.
Hi, Pascal. This is Alex Winley from AM New York. How's it going?
Hi, Alex.
Hi. Were there any positives you took from the performance in Atlanta that you want to build upon as the team heads back home this weekend? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very, very kind question of you. The first 60 minutes were the most positive. Going into the game, Atlanta away is a tough one. Playing on turf is also always a very big challenge. But if you look at the first 60 minutes of this game, we played in a way that I like to see my team play. However, that brings to concern also the final 30 minutes into this game. And we have still a lot of work to do, because in this 30 minutes, a lot of things happened. And we have to make sure we improve those things for the next sequence of 6. But the positive side is the first 60 minutes, getting in a position where you're 3-1 up away at Atlanta and controlling the game like we did. That is a very positive thing to take with you.
Javier?
Hey, Coach. Javier from City Boys.
Hi, Javier.
Hey, how's it going? David Lee recently did a Q&A with fans, and he talked about the transfer window.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he really wanted to give you some time to really assess the team to figure out what kind of players you would want to bring in and your style.
Mm-hmm.
So now that time has passed, do you feel like you have a good handle on what type of player you're looking for and what positions you're looking at?
Well, you're assuming that the time has passed. That is something that doesn't come from me or from David. We will take as much time as we need. And, of course, we have our opinions about the players that are on our roster now, but those will be the opinions discussed amongst ourselves and not with the media.
Chris?
Hey, Coach. Chris Kenmore from the outfield.
Hi, Chris.
Revisiting that last goal in Atlanta, I know after the game there, you mentioned your mistakes happen. They'll continue to happen as part of the game. One of the items that happened following that was a very visible argument between Thiago Martins and Matt Freese. What has been your message to the team following that in terms of those types of moments occurring on the field? Thanks.
Yeah, good question. As I mentioned, like you said yourself just now, these moments will be there in the game forever. It's how you deal with it. Of course, it's a very tough moment at the end of the game, knowing that the game most likely is not going to change anymore. That moment, considering in what phase we were in this game, is a very tough one to take. But the way we reacted on the pitch is something that has been discussed in the first few days when we came in after the game, and is something that is something that we don't stand for. I don't want my team to act that way. I don't want any individual to act like that in my team. We win together, we lose together, and these type of moments will be there in the game always. And as I said to you, it's about the response. Now the next game, but also in the moment, the heat of the moment. Take it like a man on the chin and move on.
Alex?
Hi, Coach. This Sunday is New York City FC's Healthy Lives Day match. I was hoping you could speak on how you value physical and mental health with your staff and players as you lead this team.
It's a huge part that we emphasize throughout the week in our approach in general. Being healthy is something that we have to cherish as a community. It's very hard nowadays to make sure you keep a healthy mind and a healthy body, but there are ways, and as you know, within our club, within our own community, we emphasize it a lot. So if it's food, nutrition, sleep-wise, lifestyle, everything in consideration to make sure that we can live a healthy life and live a healthy lifestyle.
Results?
Yeah. There's a few things going on. After 60 minutes, we still have to grow. After 60 minutes, we lose our intensity. We drop our standards in the way we play, and we've looked like you just said just now. We looked a little more vulnerable in these moments. So conceding those goals in that phase of the game has our attention, because it's part of the game management, if you will, that we have to understand in what kind of phase we are in the game to make sure we don't concede and close out games. On the other hand, you've seen moments in games also that we've played. For instance, the game away against Columbus is a good one, but we were under pressure throughout the game. So it's slightly different, but still the same. The team was very, very unified in that match and making sure that we don't concede. However, we should have had that mentality more going into the final 30 minutes if you take a look at Atlanta, because the final 30 minutes against Atlanta was way different than we played in Columbus. So that has our attention, and it's a point of concern.
Yeah, my family's been really proud, obviously, getting my debut, then getting my first start. Like, really grateful for the opportunity, and just, trying to do what I can to help the team win, because that's the most important thing. So yeah, just really proud.
Roberto Bromwich from New York City Radio in Spanish. So can you tell me about the journey this season, starting in preseason? When did you start getting an inkling that you might make the team as opposed to going back to NYCFC2? And how have you handled each one of those steps as it became clear that, yeah, you were making the main team?
Yeah, I went into preseason with the mentality that I wanted to be with the first team. So just, working hard every day, trying to improve and learn. Obviously, Pascal coming, a little bit changing identity, which was really good. And he brought the intensity to the team. So, just each opportunity I get, I try to take advantage of it. So just been really grateful.
And if I can follow up, was there any point during preseason where you started getting the inkling where, well, this is actually happening? And can you, if there was like a certain moment that you started to realize that it was happening?
Yeah, maybe in Coachella, just been given a few starts. So just taking that opportunity, I think that made me think that maybe I could have a shot at, making an impact with the first team.
Sean?
Sean Soccer Langala Magazine. Congratulations on being on the first team at such a young age and everything. And
Thank you.
You're welcome. As you just mentioned, Coachella, I'm watching it on TV. I see this young player go on. You're getting a lot of time. You're doing very well. Now comes the first home game, and you're player of the match. Where do you go from here?
Just building off that, just one game. So just going back to training, seeing what I can improve, because it's a long season, and just trying to do each game, trying to do my best so the team could win.
How would you compare and contrast your experience between the Coachella time and the regular season time in matches?
Obviously, the regular season's more intensity. So just trying to adapt to the speed of play as quickly as possible so I can be ready.
And being local, do you have any messages for anyone that might be seeing this that is with Manhattan Kickers?
It's a great place to be, and just keep improving, keep working hard, and you can reach your dreams.
Thank you.
We're going to go to Zoom. Chris, go ahead.
Hey, Johnny, Chris Campbell from the outfield. You've got several games under your belt this year. Just curious as to what you're hearing from the coaching staff so far about your performances in terms of what you're doing good on, and as well as what you can improve. Thanks.
They've been very supportive so far, in possession, telling me what I can improve on, and then also defensively, a few tweaks, in positioning that I could position myself better so it could help the team. So I've been getting also positive feedback, though.
Andrew?
Hi, I'm Andrew Lee with Hudson River Blue here. Thank you for taking the time. Wanted to ask sort of about the reaction coming out of the Atlanta game. Knowing that was a game where you guys had control and seemed like you were going to get draw at minimum, win probably. What's it been like this week kind of in training as you guys try to, learn from that? And what have you focused on heading into Minnesota this weekend as areas that you think need to kind of improve to avoid that kind of thing happening again?
We've been focusing a lot on making sure that we could perform for the whole 90 minutes. I think maybe in previous games we were only good for 60 minutes, so just trying to be consistent throughout the 90 minutes and manage games better.
Christian?
Hi, Johnny. You played several seasons with NYCFC2 and MLS Next Pro in the Open Cup. What did that experience and your time with Matt Pilkington specifically do for you in terms of preparing you for this?
I think MLS Next Pro has been a really good addition. I think, it's a very big step up from the academy, so it helps bridge the gap between the academy and the first team. And, the second team and Matt have really helped me try to push me to improve and to get ready for this speed of play.
We'll go with Chris again.
Hey, Johnny, Chris Cameron from the outfield. The minutes you've gotten in the midfield so far have been pretty significant, and you've been playing a lot alongside Keaton Parks as well as Maxi Morales. Just can you talk about what it's like to play alongside those two and how they help you out on the field? Thanks.
Obviously they have a lot of experience under the belt, so they help give me advice, information on what I could do better, what I can improve on. So it's been very helpful to have two experienced players like that supporting me and pushing me to get better.
Anyone else? Great. Go ahead, Christian. Sorry. One more?
Yeah, just one more, Johnny, if that's okay. so much of this is new for you, new experiences. How do you adapt to those new situations and new experiences as they present themselves?
Just trying to adapt as quickly as possible. Obviously, it's a big step up from the second team, so just, in training, trying to work really, really hard so I can adapt as quick as possible. So just each experience, trying to learn and improve.